The Mask of Darkness DLC for Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown is releasing September 17th. I really feel this is one of the best Metroidvanias ever made, and I thoroughly enjoyed 100%ing it on the highest difficulty back when it first released, so I'm glad I had the opportunity to play a part of this upcoming story expansion early. To access the DLC, you need to have unlocked two powers: Rush of the Simurgh and Shadow of the Simurgh. Then, return to the Haven and talk to Nate. She'll tell you she spotted Rajan, and when you follow her to track her down together, Sargon ends up in Rajan's mental realm, her mind palace, which also weakens him. This means all players experience the DLC with roughly the same progression. Everyone starts with 3 health segments and 0 potions. You also lose all your amulets, but you do keep whatever Athra surges you unlocked through exploration or beating bosses in the main game. This weakened state goes away once you leave Rajan's Mind Palace, so you can return to the normal game world whenever you like after reaching the hub here, and doing so will give you back all your upgrades until you continue the DLC where you'll be back to your weakened form. Although you can play this DLC anytime you want as soon as you unlock it, I will say the platforming challenges can be tough if you haven't been through some of the movement gauntlets in the main game's optional or later areas. The area I got to play is the east wing of Rajan's Mind Palace, so the right side of the map that's covered in sand and ash, recalling memories of a Kushan invasion on Rajan's home. The entire DLC gives us a look into this character's past and backstory, how she became who she became, and the path that led her to her present situation. Just like in the base game, movement feels amazing, no surprise. The East Wing will definitely test your ability to move skillfully, and it will do so constantly and consistently in a way not that many areas of the main game really did. Of course, it's been a while since I played those, and I'm trying this while being rusty at Lost Crown parkour, but I can definitely feel an immediate step up in general challenge and the precision required here. There are these new bumpers that send you flying upward, sometimes at an angle, and using them requires timing a sword attack on them as you get close. There are trap gauntlets that require you to smartly use your Shadow of the Simurgh ability to rewind yourself back to your set anchor point so you can let something unavoidable pass you by. The same is true for a certain enemy that sweeps across a room with a beam that takes up the entire vertical screen space, making you think ahead and snap back in time past it as it approaches. There are also some cool magic platforms that crumble as soon as you step off them, meaning you have to approach the next ones decisively. Something that can be tricky if there are also traps like spectral saw blades threatening that space. Another interesting thing to mention are lock crystals, which you have to strike in sequence, following them to their next location and hitting them each time until they break. This removes the orange force fields blocking certain pathways or interactables. It's another way to open shortcuts or routes, but the challenge with these crystals is if you incur a reset due to Sargon falling into a pit or hitting a wall spike, you have to restart the sequence again. Satisfying when you get them done though. The East Wing introduces a few new enemies too. Sawbirds chill on ceilings until you aggro them, at which point they'll fly at you with their entire body being a yellow flash parryable. As we know from the base game, parrying a yellow flash on regular enemies is an instant kill, and it's fun to send these birds into walls or even other enemies, defeating them both. Wraiths are a cool enemy. They have a pretty varied moveset for a normal foe, and are quite acrobatic, being able to throw chakrams and knives of their own at you, as well as teleporting around and trying to flank you from the sides or the air with their ground slams. That robotic sentinel enemy I mentioned earlier is an automaton with 2 masks and vicious blades, which does slashes and spin attacks, as well as the occasional projectiles, which can be parried back at it. These enemies are what I would consider elites. They're a bit tougher to take down and have 2 phases. Once you break them in half, one part of their body continues fighting, climbing around on the ceiling and being a lot more aggressive with their projectiles, which does give you more opportunities to parry those attacks back at them, which feels pretty good. Parrying is actually a big theme in this DLC. I found it was more necessary and helpful here than in the base game, and it was already pretty handy there sometimes. If you struggle with parrying, you can put in some practice until it starts to make sense, or use the custom difficulty settings to tune your parry window to be a little looser until it's feeling good to you. Either way, parrying is necessary here for at least one mechanic. There are these walls that spit fireballs at you, and you have to parry them several times in a row in order to push them back and lock them into place, opening up new routes and shortcuts. If you miss a fireball, it resets back to its starting position and you have to parry the whole sequence again. There's a particularly tough puzzle room where I had to do that while moving through the air toward the wall constantly, parrying as I went. Definitely do what you need to, either on your end or in the options menu, to get to grips with parrying and be comfortable with it because you're going to need it. If you're not up to the standard the game is expecting, you'll probably end up taking more damage than expected too, which can be really rough because staying alive starts out feeling hard in Rajan's Mind Palace. The reasons for that are obvious. All players go into the DLC with only 3 health segments and no potions. You will not get another health segment until you reach the hub, and until you do, there's another intro region to get through on that minimal amount of health. Even once you do get a health upgrade, the only ways you're going to be healing for some time are the occasional gold health drops from slain enemies, or returning to a Wak-Wak tree and resting, and these are kind of far apart from each other. Those health upgrades, by the way, during my preview I explored everything thoroughly and only found 2, and both of them were from progressing story moments, so don't expect health upgrades to be frequent. That said, exploring is still rewarding and valuable. A few optional challenge rooms do grant vital rewards, both of which up your ability to survive. On the right side of the East Wing, there's a trap gauntlet consisting of crumbling platforms and spectral saw blades. It took me 4 or 5 attempts to get through, and the reward at the end is the only health potion I found the entire time I played, but at least I had one now. Being able to refill your health instead of having to get through a fight or combat room on a single health bar is extremely useful. Next, another important challenge room held the Vampiric Chakram amulet just out of reach. The DLC adds 3 new amulets to the game, and this is one of them. You can take them back into the base game and fight using them there too, but they're especially important inside the Mind Palace since they're the only amulets you're allowed to use in here. Vampiric Chakram does what it says. By pressing the ranged button one more time as the Chakram is in flight, it'll activate a multi-hit AoE attack, and when it returns to you, it'll heal you based on the amount of hits it dealt or the life it stole from the enemy. With a weakened Sargon who has a limited amount of HP and only 1 flask charge to heal with per rest, the Vampiric Chakram amulet really helps keep you exploring longer, so it's an important grab and well worth enduring the demands of its challenge room. On occasion, exploring will yield memories. These are voiced audio logs that both act as reminders of the events of the game if you've played that far, or revelations of dialogue some characters had away from Sargon. Sometimes they even fill in key story information the main game never actually told us, and those were the most interesting. I'm holding off on spotlighting these too much because I can't know how much of the base game story you've already seen, and it's most enjoyable to find these yourself anyway. Eventually, I finished the East Wing and found a stronger memory, with visuals rather than just dialogue. Seeing this also progressed the main objective of the DLC, which is to eventually unlock the mask in the middle of the central hub, the titular Mask of Darkness, I assume. I also picked up another health upgrade, and the preview ended there. Overall, I really enjoyed what I played at this preview. The East Wing is already leveraging a lot of Lost Crown's greatest strengths, which are fluid and demanding movement, as well as combat that asks you to control the enemy and make quick decisions carefully to avoid being overwhelmed. I think it was a clever idea to tightly control everyone's progression too, since I personally loaded into this DLC with my 100% complete save file where I had some monstrously strong upgrades and equipment. I enjoyed the feeling of exploration, growth, and challenge, and I think that would have been impossible for the devs to provide if I had a health bar of 12 segments and melee damage so insane I eventually decided to set enemy health to double just so they could keep up. Definitely the right choice to start everyone off on the same page instead. I'm sure the other areas of the DLC will have their own unique mechanics, enemies, and layouts, and as always, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown just feels great to play. It feels great to traverse, it feels great to press buttons in. Yeah, I hope you enjoy this preview, and if you haven't played Lost Crown yet, I really do recommend it. It'll probably be on sale sometime soon given the way these things go, so if you get a chance to pick it up and you enjoy exploration games, Metroidvanias, or just games with really fun and comfy movement, you'll have a lot of fun here. Anyway, thanks for watching, may fog shroud you, may stars light your way, and may the night keep you safe.